days. That's why.
Unscripted, unshackled, uncouth.
What you're about to hear is for more mature audiences only.
It's Miguel and Holly, Uncensored.
Well, how is the Platypus Posse doing?
How the hell are you?
We missed you. This is our Uncensored podcast that we do on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, but today is a Tuesday, and we'll explain why we didn't have a podcast yesterday. Because we were in San Diego for our morning show conference, morning show boot camp. But make sure to listen to our other podcasts, like Miguel and Holly Full Show Podcast. Something that I think is a really cool thing about the Full Show Podcast now is you can listen as the show goes along. So, Kelba, since you're the one that does it, do you want to kind of explain how that works?
Yeah, absolutely. So once the break is over, I give it about like a minute or two, and it's already available to upload. So as the show is going on, maybe you're a caller, maybe you won something you want to immediately show off to your family, it'll be automatically uploaded. Give it like 5 minutes the most.
That's amazing technology, where it used to be like, hey, maybe by tomorrow we'll have yesterday's show.
They'll be like, oh yeah, on Saturday, Miguel's gonna go back up to the station and wade through all the audio, and you may get 1 or 2 breaks uploaded. But I think that's a really cool feature to have that Kelvin has been working on. So as the show is going on, you can catch right up with it on the iHeartRadio app or anywhere you listen to podcasts, and tell at least one other person about the podcast. Let them know. So we were in San Diego for our morning show conference. We're going to sort of like backtrack a little. We'll start from the end and then work our way to the beginning of the weekend. Because,
and by the way, I haven't done this one single time since we've been talking about this, but every time we say San Diego, I in my head think it means a whale's vagina. Every
Where
time.
Is that from?
Anchorman.
Okay. You know, I kept saying in my mind, San Diego. Like,
yes.
I think he says some shit like
San
that.
Diego?
Yes. Yes. It means a whale's vagina. And every time we would talk about it, I thought that, but I'm like, I'll keep it to myself. But I just wanted to say it once. That's all.
I kept this morning, as we were telling stories from the weekend, I kept wanting to say San Diego. And I was like, no, that'll distract. We're going to stay on point, on message.
The podcast is for distracting.
Exactly. Yeah. San Diego. So we'll start from the end and then work our way back to the beginning. So the reason why we didn't have a podcast on Monday is, Holly, you left Saturday morning, right?
I did leave San Diego at 9 a.m. on Saturday morning, made it back home, but my flight was a little bit delayed. I made it back home around 5:30, 6 o'clock at night.
So Kelvin and I, with his fiance Oscar, my husband Abe, we all stayed an extra day to sort of just hang out. And one of my best friends from college has lived in San Diego now for 4 years, and I never have had a chance to go out and see him. And I see him all the time, especially since moving to Charlotte, because his work is based here, so he's here once a month.
Right.
But I always have felt so awful that I've never gone to see him. So I said, well, this is the perfect opportunity. We'll be there. We'll stay the weekend so we can see your life and what you've built there. Well, Sunday, Kelvin, Abe, Oscar, all of us get on over to the airport. Abe was on about an hour flight, or an hour after our flight, just because it was like $200 cheaper, and the company paid for ours. And so I was like, we're gonna put you on that next flight, girl, because we're trying to save money where we can. So we get on our flight, we're buckled in, everything's great, and right as they're about to go through all the explanation for the safety procedure, the pilot gets on and is like, oh, a little maintenance bubble popped up on my screen, so they have to come over and check on it.
Mind you, Miguel's mouth is wide open, still like
sleeping, snoring in the seat, ready for this journey.
Yes, because listen, I already will fall asleep as soon as I get on a plane and sit down. But after a week of the jet lag, meeting other radio people, and just being on the entire time, I was exhausted.
Yeah.
And so then they're like, all right, it's going to be about an hour for them to fix this. And then about, what'd you say, 15, 20 minutes later, he got back on, Kelvin, and he was like, I have some bad news.
Yes.
We're going to have to deplane for them to figure out what's going on with this issue. And they were like, we don't know when this will be fixed. It could be an hour. It could be 2 hours. the flight could be canceled. We don't know.
Yeah.
So now, of course, everyone's like, what the?
Yeah, pissed.
Oh my God. Like
When
when
hear everyone on the plane pissed.
I mean, everybody, because Charlotte is a hub for American. And so most people on the flight have connecting flights to somewhere else to get home. And so that automatically, like, I mean, when they first said that automatically effed up a lot of people getting to their next destination. But we were like, all right, it's fine. Like, we just got that one-stop shop, girl. Let's go. So we're all sitting there waiting. And then they're like, we're checking the app as we get back off into the airline or to the airport. And it goes, so the flight originally was it 10 o'clock?
No, 11:40.
11:40 was the original flight. And then it was like, all right, you'll leave at like 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
And we were like, that sucks. That means we're going to get back to Charlotte around 9, which, whatever, we'll figure it out. And then just out of nowhere, it says, it's leaving at 6:57.
It went to 3 first.
Oh, did it? Okay,
and
3.
That's what we were like, should we go to work?
Right. Yeah, because I think that's when I sent the text to Holly and our boss, and I was like, I don't know, just be on standby.
Yeah.
And then it updated to 6:57, which means we weren't getting back into Charlotte until 2-something in the morning.
Right.
And I was like, we can't. We can't work.
No.
If I was a better man, maybe we could, but I'm like, no.
If I was 18
Right.
and excited, not happening, bitch.
Oh, yes. I think if this were the early Panama City days, we would have just gotten off the plane and went to the studio.
Right. And to be honest, like when we got off the flight, like by the time we got our luggage, because my car was here at the radio station. So when the Uber dropped me off, it was like 3:30.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, I mean, the adrenaline's going. I could have done it. But then as soon as I walked in the house, I was like, oh no, there's no way. There's absolutely no way I could have done that. I was so tired. I slept all day yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And Kelvin, how did you fare?
You remember when I was booking the Uber or the Lyft, and you and my fiance Oscar were like, man, I always got to get the black one because, it's just more cozy. And I was like, oh, well, like, whatever. I've always had pretty good lifts. Yeah, I've learned my fucking lesson.
Oh.
Never again. Awful drive back home.
Oh.
The car was so stinky. And then on top of that, there was no room for our luggage. So we had to like sit with our
suitcases,
our carry-ons in the seat. So in between us.
Oh my God. Was it like a Geo Metro? Like what kind of car was this?
It was like a 2000, probably 20, like Kia. It was a Kia or something. It was like new. Oh my God. Yeah. So it was awful. Then we get home and I mean, Jimbo was already asleep, so he wasn't bothering us or anything. He wasn't trying to jump. Everything was pretty quiet when we got back home. And then I fell asleep at like 4-ish.
Wow. But then your fiance had to like get back up because when I finally came to around 1 o'clock, I got on Instagram and I saw that he was already back at the airport for traveling.
Yeah. So he fell asleep. We woke up both at around 9 a.m. and he was like, all right, I got to start packing because he had a flight at 1 o'clock. So we woke up at 9, showered, packed, 10 o'clock. Probably left the house maybe around 10:30, 10:45, and he was back there already.
Man, like I just can't do like I used to. Like it's sort of like the last time when we went to go see Lizzo. This is like right before the pandemic, and she was at USF in Tampa, and I was gonna stay like halfway through the show, but then it was the first time we have gotten to see like after Lizzo broke. And the first time we saw her live, and you just had to stay the entire show. And then we went in to do our show the next day, and I felt like I was sick.
Yeah.
And like, this is a new thing for me now, where if I don't get enough sleep, I feel like I have a cold all of a sudden. That's how I felt yesterday. Like
your
my
body
ears
is not right. Well, that's why I felt sick in San Diego. Like I was not on top of my game. I did not feel well. I don't know, like I ate at different times. Maybe I ate too much, but I didn't think I like gorged. I had half of a fucking breakfast burrito, but I felt like I had the entire Golden Corral. Like it was I
you
just
did French fries in it.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But it was half. And I was just like, I don't know what's going on with me, but I did not feel well in San Diego. I really didn't.
I stepped on the scale yesterday. Apparently I gained like 7 pounds.
Oh! Oh my gosh.
So I'm hoping that like decreases a little bit. Maybe it's waterway.
Yeah.
Maybe yes.
Yeah.
Drink a lot of water.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Get to drink. Get to hydrating.
Yeah, I actually lost a couple of pounds being in, which I was shocked
Fucking
by.
bitch.
But well, I mean, we didn't eat like a whole lot just because we were in sessions and stuff the entire time. But I was shocked. I was like, okay, how you doing? Especially going into Pride weekend here in Charlotte this week. So Holly, how was your experience at Morning Show Boot Camp this year?
It was okay. You know, I'm just like I think unfortunately I didn't feel right. And I think that detracted some of my like excitement because like the time shift from going to the East Coast to the West Coast. By the time we got out of any dinners that we had, it was 10 p.m. West Coast time, which is 1 a.m. East Coast time. I never got acclimated, and like I couldn't do the thing where you like go to the bar and like have a cocktail with people and just have fun with them. In fact, I barely drank at all. Like I had 2 drinks one night and 2 drinks the other night. And so I just really felt off my game. This just unfortunately, like I don't want to lie because I've been lying to everybody. Y'all, I've been lying. It was not my favorite boot camp. But that they're not all home runs. It doesn't mean that I didn't super appreciate it and like that I didn't find the sessions you know, impactful. I did. But I guess just in general it wasn't my favorite. And I can't even really like I think I was just fucked up. I don't know.
Well, I also think too that I really because this is the first time since we've been going, which is now like, 2 decades, it feels like. This is the first time we've done it where it was on the West Coast. Normally, it only is like the farthest west it'll go is Chicago. And then in the years in our era of Morning Show Boot Camp, it's been in Chicago, Miami, and Atlanta.
And and Dallas.
And Dallas. Yeah, Dallas was last year. Yeah, so, Central Time. So I think the majority of the people coming to boot camp are on the East Coast. And I do think that was just the general feel for everybody, where everyone was just exhausted,
tired.
Like I know the West Coasters were like having their moment in the sun, obviously. Right. Like all the California shows or like Seattle or whatever, they were like living, right? They're like, welcome to our time zone. But oh God, it was so difficult.
It really was.
And we've been to the West Coast, but it's not like I've never been there. We did the billboards out on West Coast time. We did the something else, some award show. We used to go to a different morning show conference called BitFest, and they did one of those in the West Coast, but we were younger then. So I'm like, and it was for longer, I feel like. So.
Right. It was longer and it was a smaller group of people. And so it was a little bit more intimate.
Right.
Whereas this is a lot more people. But I do think that, because what I always tell first timers, I'm like, hey, you're going to get a lot from the sessions, especially if it's your first or second time, but you're going to get a lot from being at the bar and just networking with people. But I even felt like the bars were more empty than normal because I kept telling everybody, because like I'm usually one of the ones I'm there till they tell us to get out. And then usually there's like a group of like 10 or 15 of us and we're like, well, let's go to the place down the street. Like, let's go. Ain't none of us were there this time. I was like, I didn't make it to where they closed it down. Not one night. I was so tired.
I didn't even make it to the bar once. I could not do it. I was not well. I didn't feel good. So I was like, damn it. So that impacted a little bit of it, but that's okay. That's okay. It's okay. Some people, it was their favorite one, and that's fine too. So anyway, that's just mine.
Well, I think they tried it, like I said, for the first time to be on the West Coast, and I think probably most of the feedback will be like, so happy that like the San Diego shows got to have their moment for us to see their city, because I would love for it to come to like Charlotte one time or when we were in Tampa.
That'd be cool. That's like Super Bowl for radio people.
Right. Like I would love to be able to
show
off.
City.
Yes, to be like, hey, like go here, go here, go here.
Yeah.
And for them to hear your radio station, because all of us radio people are like, let's hear what they sound like while you're in the city. I don't think we need to go back to the West Coast for that. That was just
I don't even think they like. Well, I talked to Gina, the Latina, from San Diego, and she was telling me that she's like, it's hard when it's here. She's like, obviously we're expected to do the show,
Right.
So they're over there
Yes.
doing the show
Yes.
and then going to the panels and then trying to do the dinners and everything. And that's exhausting. And
That's
she's like,
super exhausting.
I'm done.
Yeah. I was like, girl, good on
So,
you. But how was it
anyway.
otherwise for you?
Fine. It was good. I was glad that I liked the sessions that they did. I found they did a session about AI, which I think I found the most interesting and I took the most notes in. I was really impressed by that. As someone who does not use Chat GPT or anything like it, it helped me be a little more open to it. So I thought that was a really interesting panel. But overall it was great. You know, they do a good job. And I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. A good thing, probably, that I think maybe they might have us like back as hosts for Battle of the Bits again, and maybe that's gonna just be our thing.
I
don't
think
know.
so. I mean, from what I heard from the people that put it together, they made it sound like they want it like that to be our, we get to
Our thing.
present
Your thing.
to Battle of Bits. Because
Yeah.
I think because it's both of us who know how to work well together and we work fast together and we know
keep 'em
how to
moving.
right. And like, where I end or where you end or I pick up, you pick up. Whereas if they try to just put two random people together, it would be a little harder.
Yeah.
Because we're basically facilitating people coming up and presenting things they've done that year that maybe someone else can steal and do in their city.
Right.
And so it's corralling all these radio people. And then also being encouraging too, and making people feel like you're in a safe space to be able to present your bit. Cause it's really nerve-wracking to be in front of a room full of your peers that everyone's like, that wasn't that great.
Right.
And so they're judging you a little bit. So we try to make it a safe space for people to feel like they can come up and present. But yeah, did you get to make have any great impactful conversations while you were there, Holly?
I don't remember.
Mm.
So probably no, I guess.
Don't feel bad because same.
I don't remember. I think that I got to see. I didn't get to see all the people that I really wanted to see. Like I feel like I missed a lot of people. I feel like I didn't see a lot of people actually. But I did. I think the most credit I will give myself for this entire boot camp is our agent gave us some directives about some people that we should, quote, get some FaceTime with. And so I knew I wasn't going to the bar after dinner. So there was like a little mixer in the evening that I made it my business. Like I made it my job to go find these people and get FaceTime with them, which is very intimidating for me. Like I get very stressed out and very nervous because I have no idea what I'm going to say, but I did it and I got all of them. It was like, collecting like onto the next. And I was proud that I was able to do that.
I did feel bad talking about our agent Heather. So the first morning, Thursday morning, we were there because we were at the Hard Rock San Diego. Holly, Kelvin, and I met each other before the session started to have breakfast. And this morning show guy, Carson from Boston, Carson and Kennedy, he came down and he was like, "Can I join y'all for breakfast?" And we were like, "Yeah." We got to like catch up with him and have like a good conversation. And they're doing really, really well in Boston. And he's always been such a like cheerleader
of
for
ours.
us. Yes,
because he's been in the business longer than we have. And Kennedy is fantastic.
Oh my
as
gosh.
co-host. I love her. So anyway, yes, it was really cool for him to join us that first morning at breakfast.
It was nice. I felt so bad the next day. So Holly and I had a breakfast that Friday with our agent and the guy who owns the agency. And so we're sitting there and
it's like a breakfast meeting.
Right. I mean, we're not like talking like sensitive, like, negotiation, stuff like that. It's just more of like a yearly, like person in person catch up. How are things going in Charlotte? And, how is the arrangement with Holly being in Tampa? Just an overall of how are you feeling in life right now? Well, then I see Carson come in and I just sort of like wave at him. And then we continue talking. And then the next thing I know, he's brought over like 3 servers and they're moving a table over to ours.
There's all these women
cringe
that are holding the table. And he's like, "Hey, is it cool if I join you again?"
Now,
and he's got these ladies pulling the table over. But I didn't even know that's what they were doing. I thought for a second, I didn't know they were servers. I thought they were like with him. And I'm like, who the fuck are these people.
Well, then like I look at his eyes and he's just like so like, oh, is it okay if I join
He's so
you?
full of joy. He's like, guys, we can do a
Literally.
second breakfast.
Right. And then like they're moving the table and I was just like, yeah. And then I hear Holly go, oh no, we're having a meeting. I'm sorry. And I was like, and then the look of shame on this man's face. Like
I don't think it was shame. It was embarrassment.
embarrassment. He was like, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be that person. I'm sorry. He looked so, and then this is where my heart sank and I almost wanted to get up and hug him. And he was like, wait, did I interrupt y'all breakfast yesterday? Should I not have been there with you all?
I was like, no. Come on now. Yesterday was fine. We're just in a meeting today.
Well, you know what? About that breakfast, I actually did just want it to be us three. But of course, I would never say anything. Because when the fuck did we get to all hang out, the three of us?
It's true.
Right,
That's true.
It's boot camp, so I figured like I also took not advantage, but I just felt like, okay, cool, I get to meet someone new.
Right.
That's how I took it as. But yes,
Yeah.
I did feel that way.
Well, you know what? Maybe what we should do is we should put this on our calendars that for that first Thursday morning, we should go to a restaurant outside of the hotel.
That's what you should have done with this meeting with your agent.
Right. No, we should have.
People were gonna come by, and you guys are. I was gonna say not attention grabbers. Well, yeah, I guess attention grabbers would make sense. I don't know. You guys have a lot of connections there, and a lot of people know you, so they will constantly go up to you. So
I did feel that, but
Poor
like
Carson.
it was on us to say no. And
Right.
sometimes, and it's okay. Like, I don't actually know where that confidence came from, to be honest with you, but I knew I had to shut it down immediately because
mother energy.
what were we going to do? Like Heather couldn't be like, oh, okay, let me just also include this gentleman I don't know into our meeting with it was on us.
Right.
And we had to shut it down. And I tried to do it, I think, in like the most professional but kindly way.
No, you
because
did.
I'm like,
You did.
oh no, I'm so sorry, we're doing a meeting. And then, the embarrassment. And I was like, no big deal. No, like I would want someone to do that to me. Like, hey, yeah, no, but no big deal. Don't worry.
I would dare say it was Heather's job to say no at that point. Oh no, sorry. I'm like, we're actually having a meeting with the team or with my team.
But she doesn't know him and he asked us.
Well, and I think
that would have been like her
butting in and being like,
right.
no.
Who the fuck are you and why are you here?
Right.
I don't know. That's not really how she sounds.
Right.
But
well, and then I think also too, correct me if I'm wrong, Holly, in the time of the event, that was also when like the other table to the right of us, they had started talking to us. And so I think all of your heads were turned to them. And so then Carson was to my left. And then y'all were talking to Paul and all of them at the other table. Because that's why I was like, ah.
Yeah, Miguel froze. Miguel did not handle this at all.
No.
But sometimes that happens. And that has happened to Miguel and several. Like, I know what happens. It's like the cogs in Miguel's brain.
Right.
Just stop.
Because like
overload,
I can be
oversensory.
Right, because like I can be assertive and like stop something from happening. Like if we're in an awkward position, I'll be the first person to be like, no, we're not gonna do this. But in those moments where I don't have a second to even like get how to put it out, I'm just like,
You're good with like if you have a second to think about the right thing to say.
Right.
Whereas I think I'm better if something insane happens in this. Like I actually do pretty well in like a panicky, like something needs to happen immediately. I can act.
Right.
Swap it and it's different.
Right.
Like if I have to think about what the right thing is to do, I will overthink it and then think myself into oblivion and not act. But if it's just something that just comes up, like poor Carson come out and be like, come in, I'm like, oh no, sorry. Like
right.
I didn't even think about it. It just came out.
That's so interesting.
Let it happen.
We're that way.
Well, it's just so interesting how our personalities work like that because I just always just give me like a beat. Like if he were walking, if I saw that he was like, oh, hey, can I join you all? Then I would have had like a couple of seconds to just be like, oh, hey, we're in this meeting. But when he's looking and to me, just when they had picked up the table and were like putting it over and I was just like taking it all in and I was like,
yeah, Miguel froze. Miguel had like noises coming out of his mouth, just noises. He was like, he did. You literally like your animatronic just got stuck.
No.
And then I noticed what was, because I think, Miguel, you noticed it first. And then I was like, look over and I'm just like, oh no, we can't do this. No. Oh, but it's fine. It's just, we can't do this. It's fine. No big deal. I'm so sorry. That was really a highlight. Not for him. Poor guy. I hope he doesn't like, I don't know what type of thinker he is, but I hope he doesn't like think on that forever.
No, he's not. He's super jovial and whatnot. And I think I saw him again later that day and I was like, hey, and he was like, no, I'm sorry. He was like, I should have read the room. I'm sorry. And I'm like, you would have, there's no reason you would have known that. So that's completely fine. But he was totally cool. So that was probably like the craziest sort of like little moment that happened. But we had dinner with our old school. She used to be our life coach individually, and she's coached us as a show, Angela Pirelli. And she does sort of like this little dinner with previous clients or people that she likes. And it's always nice to sort of connect with some of her people that have used her before and that know her, because we're all sort of similar minds.
Right.
And so that was a really cool dinner to get to know some new people there.
That was my favorite thing that we did for me, because I felt like myself. I felt like part of the group. I just felt like we were sharing I actually had genuine, like, lots of laughs. So yeah, I really enjoyed that little dinner that we had, just because it was just fun. What she did was fantastic, and I want to use this in the future ever, where typically we don't all know each other, some of the people. And so it's just kind of like you end up chit-chatting with the person that you're seated next to, or whatever. But during the dinner, Angela was like, hey, we're gonna go around the table. There were 10 of us. She's like, we're gonna go around the table and you're gonna tell us, like, Breakfast Club style, like, who are you? So, like, name, what high school did you go to, and what was your, like, stereotype? Like, were you the jock, the nerd, the athlete? Like, who were you in high school? And I think that was such an interesting icebreaker, because everyone has that story. That's not like you have to desperately
think about your fun facts, your best fun facts.
Like, you're like, I don't know what my fun fact is. Like, what's something that no one knows about you? I don't know. What's overshared? Like, everybody knows where they went to high school and what the mascot was and who they were in high school. And it's very, not only easy to talk about, it's very character developing. God, she's good. She's good. She did that on purpose. Anyway, I loved it. And so I thought that was a really cool just way to get to know people that you're having dinner with.
Yeah, I got to really have a good long conversation with this guy named Jamar J. Nice. He used to do radio in Chicago. Now he lives in Toronto, and he's a Black guy. So we were chatting about, he's been in Canada now for 4 or 5 years. And so I was like, hey, because I remember as radio people, like, like, it's really awkward how you can know someone's entire resume and you've only, like, seen them online. You've never met in person.
Yes, but Miguel knows way more of those people than Miguel knows all these people. I only know some people that way because I'm not as good as he is.
Well, that's why I like talking to Carson, because Carson is that way. He's a radio nerd too. And so him and I will just go back and forth about people and moves that they've made and whatnot. But he was telling me all these things that he's had to do since going from America to being a Canadian citizen, and the taxes they have to pay, and even just being an American. Because he said at one point during this dinner, because Kelvin, you weren't there for that dinner, you were at a show with Oscar, but he was like, this dinner with everybody here and the way everyone's talking is so different from being around a room of Canadians. Because apparently, as an American, we're very just forward. We're very out there. We're very outlandish. And he was like, he's had to sort of not change, but adjust his humor and how he presents himself, because people in Canada will automatically be like, oh, you must not be from here. Or he said when he first started on the radio there, he would make jokes or tell stories that people in the room would kind of be quiet. And he's like, something that would like kill on American radio, everyone would be like,
humor.
No, they'd be like, well, that was a lot.
Well, one of the interesting things he said, speaking of the high school icebreaker that Angela did, to put it in perspective, he said in Canada, this conversation would not happen because they don't care about where they went to high school. Right. There is no sense of school pride or school identity.
Wow.
They'd be like, why do you want to know?
Right. Why do you
that
care?
Question, like, why do you care? It's not, like a
tell me
piece-
about your previous job.
Right. It's not like a piece of relevant identity making information that would be like, oh, my high school was this and our colors were that. And we're like, go this. And we all get like tee about it. Canadians are just like, I received schooling at a primary school, secondary, whatever they call it. I don't know. Like yes, I did receive schooling. Did you want to see the No? Okay. Like they don't have any part of like that high school pride.
Nostalgia.
Yeah.
So I thought that was super interesting. Kelvin, before we go, I wanted to give a shout out because we have some. Does he listen to the podcast or just the full show? Do you know?
Aussie? Aussie, he listens. I don't know if he listens to the full show podcast, but I know he listens to the show. Yeah, the show podcast. But he does listen to this podcast, the Uncensored one. I'm pretty sure.
So this is what I love about the Uncensored podcast is we've picked up Platypus Posse members from just all over the place, from different places that we've done radio. But then there's also someone that started listening to us who is in San Diego from, we talked about Kramer a lot, and he did radio in San Diego for a while. And so he would have Holly and I on his podcast with his co-host. They had an Uncensored podcast. And so we've picked up a few listeners from there, and you actually hung out. And they gave you a whole tour of San Diego.
That's so cool.
From listening to the podcast.
Yeah, 100%. I think when I had just got on the show, I got a few messages from him, and he was just like, "Oh my God, I related so much to your story," because he's also Hispanic as well. And so yeah, we become mutuals like on Instagram. And the minute that I heard that it was in San Diego, I was like, "Oh my God, he's constantly telling me about San Diego." I was like, "Oh, cool, we should link up and like hang out." He is one of those people that plans and immediately was like, okay, we can do this and this at this time. We need to leave at this point. We need to eat here. We need to do. It was fantastic. Like, I don't think I've ever
a planner.
Not even my own friends fucking do that for me. So it was fabulous. I mean, he even, when I was in Asheville last weekend, right? Yeah, last weekend, he was like, hey, Bob and Monet, these famous drag queens from Drag Race, are going to be in town. And I was like, oh shit, let's get tickets. He's like, well, I already have mine. But I was like, okay, cool. We'll meet each other at least before Saturday, because Saturday we're done with the conference. So I figured let's hang out. And so we got to meet him there that Thursday night, and yeah, it was fun. We did so many things. I feel like I was in San Diego for 2 weeks.
What all did y'all do? Because I didn't participate in any of these things.
So Thursday night, right after we were done with boot camp, we were mingling. I can't remember what the first event was. Was it Hubbard? No, that was Wednesday.
Yeah, the first, it was
Benstown?
No, that was Thursday.
No, Thursday was right across. Yes, it was Benstown. But right across the actual conference, there was a mix and mingle going on.
Oh, yes. That I thought were
Yes.
I thought that and the Benstown were the same thing.
Right.
Yeah.
It was.
Well, that's the information I got from Holly. But
I don't know how many times I have to say I'm sorry.
I know, it's fine.
This bitch has thrown me under the bus about this with the shade in his voice.
Just twice. It's fine. Well, no, you know what it is? I don't want people to think that I wasn't trying to also go to the after parties either. Yes, I was anxious the whole time, but I still wanted to do my rounds. So I was there, and Oscar was getting hungry, and you know how he gets when he's hungry.
Well, we do now.
Yeah. So
I've experienced the wrath before.
Yes, girl. So right before it was almost over, we went to go get some sushi, had a good time there, and then we went to go see Bob and Monet. I was not feeling well due to certain issues.
It's legal.
And so I wasn't feeling well, and right after the show was done, I was telling my fiance Oscar, "Hey, like let's maybe just hang out with them Saturday. Like we saw the show, we should go back to the hotel. I'm exhausted." Then by the time that we see them after the show, him and his husband and their friend were there, and they were like, "Hey, we just got our lift to go to the bar. We want to show you this gay bar called Number One on 5th, I think is what it was called."
Yes.
So we go there, and I was like, you know what? Let's just go. let's just go out on the town on a Thursday. Why not?
So you rallied.
I rallied mentally. So I went, And thankfully, it was a random drag show that was happening. So what I really liked about that was that we were able to still hang out with them, but also not be in conversations. Not because we didn't want to, but because mentally I wasn't there. But we got to see a bunch of drag queens perform, and it was a really great show. So that was my night, that first Thursday. Friday, I think Friday was the AI panel, which that was the one I was looking forward to the most. But I wasn't able to go to watch that one, unfortunately. But then the rest of the day was great. What did we do Friday night? Did we hang out Friday night? We did.
Friday night was the
dinner.
The dinner with our boss, Trevor.
With our boss, Trevor.
Yeah.
That Friday, so the best mingling or networking that I did was the last one, the last like after party, the celebration.
Party.
Yes.
Right.
That one I felt like I was doing a great job. I mean, maybe I had a little bit more alcohol in me, but I barely drank throughout this whole trip, aside from Saturday. But with the after parties, I felt like that one was good. I don't know. I didn't feel like it was so iHeart branded where I felt comfortable and it was majority my people. I didn't even feel that way. I just felt loose. I felt
I think by that time everyone's like their shoulders are down and they're like, all right, the conference is officially over.
Right.
Yeah. And you can breathe a little bit and you can be like, and everyone, because here's the thing, everybody feels anxious. It's everybody, because when you don't see people for a year, you don't know like how they're going to be, or you've seen people just on social media. You don't know how they are in person. If they're going to be weird, is the conversation going to be awkward and stilted, or is it going to be smooth? And then to me, I'm always just like, when do you exit the conversation sometimes with people that you don't have a regular rapport with?
Right.
And so that's where, to me, it always gets awkward where it's like, okay.
So
Speaking
I'm
of
gonna
that,
go over here.
I have a quick side story about that. So that was that the iHeart party was where I did my networking too, the one that was directed by Heather, that I had to meet X person, then this person, then that person. So first person on my list was this guy who was posted up at a bar, and he was talking to Woody, who is this hugely high up on air person in the iHeart company. He does a show in LA. And he's the most everyman looking dude, considering he's so like successful in this company. Do you know what I mean? So anyway, the two of them are talking. And I was just like holding my cocktail, trying to like edge in to try to get, a word in with the guy that I was meant to. Well, we're chit-chatting, and then as three people, it's good. And so we're chatting, and I was like thinking, yes, I'm checking the first person on my list. It's great. Well, then that guy left, and it was just me and Woody for a second. And I had to stay talking to Woody because out of the corner of my eye, our boss Trevor is like waving me down. He's like, here's your number 2 on the list. And so, but it wasn't time yet. So I was talking to Woody, and we were kind of in conversation, but he didn't have anybody else to turn around and talk to at that moment besides me either. And so now I was like, oh my God, I'm like, so we're sort of stuck in this conversation with each other.
Right.
And I don't know. He's not hard to talk to, but at the same time, I was like, he probably doesn't want to be talking to me. But I should share something kind of funny. Whatever. The point is, we ended up, because we were laughing about Bob Pittman. And then I ended up telling him the story about the iHeart Festival when Bob Pittman gave us his backstage passes. And I was like, we met this woman who was like, I couldn't think of the name Leslie Jones.
Oh, no.
I had to Google who it was.
Now
and he's like, I mean, who? I'm like, I could picture Leslie Jones's face. You would have, somebody would have shot me, like shoot me if they said, think of that person's name in 2 seconds or I'll shoot you. Just shoot me, because I could not. It was so uncomfortable. And finally I got it. And I changed the story, by the way, to make us look less bad.
Listen, never let the truth get in the way of a good story.
That's right, because I made us look way better in that scenario. I was like, we could see that she did not want to talk to people. And I was like, we are not going to embarrass ourselves on Bob's backstage passes. And he was like, I know, that's right. I'm like, little do you know that we did horribly embarrass ourselves with Bob's backstage passes.
Hey, but I still maintain that whole situation with Leslie Jones, she was in the wrong for that one. I'm sorry. I still maintain that you were at a radio company's festival and you have other radio people that like, our job is to go and get stories to bring back to our audience. And for her,
know that.
She's at the iHeartRadio Music Festival. What the hell do you think you're doing?
She thinks we just play music.
Right. I'm like,
play the hits.
right. Like
Yes.
if you're at the Grammys or, any other award show where it's just famous people, like you're at the iHeartRadio Music Festival. Like,
Yeah, and
yappers.
Miguel and I were just so excited. If you had never heard that story, I saw Leslie Jones sitting on this couch, and I went, Miguel, it's Leslie Jones. And so then we were like, can we get a picture really quick? And she had it. She was like, make it quick. Like, you know how she got kind of like a deep voice, and it was kind of like
Yes.
booming at me, and she's like, make it quick. And I was just like, oh my God. And then it was like Miguel and I.
like I think the picture is like probably blurry.
I know.
Because we
Do
were
you
just
have
like,
the picture? Because I don't even have the picture.
I think it's somewhere on my phone. I probably deleted it because I was so
Jesus H.
embarrassed.
Crime and
We
Netley.
can sharpen it.
Awful. And so the real story is that, but the story I told Woody is that like we knew, and
Yeah.
Leslie Jones was being a celebrity, and we were like the cool radio kids that weren't going to bother her. And he's like, that's good. I was like, I know. Lies.
I mean, he's
But
in
anyway.
LA. They get celebrities that come through there all
I know.
the time.
I didn't want to make us look like some fucking yokel and never see a famous person, and he's literally over here talking to every famous person. No, so I felt like I maybe did us a good thing. I don't know.
Thank you, Holly. We appreciate it. I think we all did good networking, getting our names out there. Glad that we are back here for a full couple of weeks. If you're here in Charlotte with Pride, and then we have something else coming up after Labor Day that we're really excited about.
That's going to be big.
Yes. Producer Kelvin, how can people find you on social media?
At Kelvin Live, TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram.
Holly?
Radio Holly on all the things.
And mine is at Miguel Fuller. Follow us. Please share the podcast with at least one other person. We greatly appreciate it. And we